Good morning, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at our objective for today. Today, we will be able to find the measure of a missing angle in a triangle. Now, we've talked a little bit about this earlier on this year. This is a quick review on that, and we're just going to build on it a little bit. Just like always, if you can print the lesson, fantastic. If not, go ahead and use a piece of blank paper, fold it in fourths so you have room for 8 questions, 4 on the front and 4 on the back. And remembering our 2 rules of everyone tracks, so pausing and rewinding whenever you need to, and everyone tries. You have an answer for every single question. Let's go ahead and take a look at our do now. Just question number 1 here. It's just asking you to find the measurement of angle D. So we have this angle is 68 degrees, we have this angle is 54 degrees, and this one we don't know. It just says D. So that's what we need to find. That's our variable. How many degrees do you think D is going to be? Go ahead, take your best guess. Remember, don't expect you to have this correct just because we're going over it now and learning how to do it for the most part. Just have some sort of an answer written down. You remember to pause and then resume the video when you're ready. Pause on the next 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead and do just a quick example before we go ahead and solve this question. Now, as a quick review, I want to talk about how many degrees are inside of a triangle. Here, we just have a normal type of triangle, and I labeled our angles 1, 2, and 3. I know that 2 is upside down. It's like that for a reason. We'll talk about that in just a second here. But for right now, the biggest thing I want you to look at is our angles. And what's going to happen is I'm going to go ahead, take some scissors, and I'm going to cut off the angles. All right? So let's just go ahead. We have our scissors. So we have angle 1, angle 2, and angle 3, and I'm just going to keep those angles out. So we have angles 1, 2, and 3. I'm just going to go ahead and put them together. So if we have angle 1 right here, we put it with angle 2, and then we have angle 3 right here, you'll notice that this makes a very similar angle to what we learned earlier on this year, which is a straight angle. It's just a straight line across, right? So if we have a straight angle, remembering that that's half of a circle, there are 360 degrees inside of a circle, this means that this is just 180 degrees. So it doesn't matter what type of triangle you have, all the angles when we put them together in a triangle are going to equal 180 degrees. And this is true for every single triangle in the entire world. You cannot make a triangle that has more than 180 degrees. So just like we talked about earlier on this year as well, you can't make a triangle with 2 obtuse angles. Remember when we tried that? Same thing here. This is going to be our magic number though, 180 degrees. We're going to use this number all day today. So remembering 180 degrees inside of all of the angles or of a triangle. I'm going to go ahead and just move this up here and let's go back to our do now. Our do now is saying the following: find the measurement of our angle D. So if we know that all of these when added together equals 180 degrees, again 180 degrees, let's go ahead and figure out how much these two, if we add them up, equals. And then we're going to take our 180 degrees and subtract whatever we get, and that's going to give us this D right there. All right. So we're going to take our 68 degrees and our 54 degrees. So let's take our 58 degrees and 68 degrees. We have our 68 degrees and our 54 degrees, and we're going to add them together, all right? So let's go ahead, add that up. We have our 8 plus 4 is going to give us our 12. We carry that up there, right? And then we have 12 here. So we have 122 degrees. So there's 122 degrees in this triangle so far, but we know that we need up to 180. So thinking about how, if we have our 180 degrees total, and we know this is 122 degrees, how can we figure out just what our angle D is, what the measurement of it is? All we're going to do is we're going to take our total of that 180 degrees, and we're going to take away what we do know, 122 degrees. So let's take away 122 degrees. If we subtract that, let's go ahead and just borrow again, regrouping, remembering when to do that. We're going to have our 10 here, so we're going to have an 8, a 5, and a 0. So it's just 58 degrees. That's all we're going to have. So this measurement, angle D, is 58 degrees. And we could even check our answer by adding all 3 of these up, and it would equal our total of 180 degrees. So again, all we need to do is figure out what can we add together in order to help us figure out exactly how many more degrees we need to get to that 180. That was a little bit weird. Let's go ahead and try another one. For question number 1, we have the following. Or actually, let's do example 2. That comes first. So for our example 2, we're going to find the measurement of angle n. Remembering this is just a variable, so that n represents a number. We know that there's 180 degrees total. So if we add all 3 of these up, it's going to equal 180 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down, 180 degrees. We have that. How many degrees total do we have in these 2 angles? And then how many more would we need here to equal that 180? Let's go ahead and just walk through it quickly. Here we have 114 plus 33 degrees. So we're going to write our 114 degrees plus our 33 degrees. And we would have a 7, a 4, a 1, so 147 degrees. Now, if we go ahead and we think, how many more degrees do we need to get to that 180? That's going to be the biggest thing, right? So we would take our 180, we subtract 147 degrees, and we go ahead and just figure out what our answer is. Go ahead and try and solve that on your own for a couple of seconds here. I'm going to wait about 15 seconds for you to go ahead and try and find that on your own. Go ahead and go. You can hear dogs barking in the back. All right. Well, let's go ahead and just get started now. So again, remembering to regroup, we can't take 7 away from 0, so we're going to go next door, borrow that from the tens place here. We have our 10 left here. That gives us a 3. Down here, 7 minus 4 is 3, and 1 minus 1 would be 0. So we just have 33 degrees. Measure of angle n is 33 degrees. So we would just write n is equal to 33 degrees. Let's go ahead and do one more final question. This one you will be doing on your own, and then we'll just go ahead and finish the video in order to check your answer. Here we have question number 1, just finding the measure of angle x. Again, you know that all degrees equals 180 degrees inside of a triangle. Go ahead, use that information to help you out. Pause and resume the video when you're ready to check your answer in the next 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we have our 180 degrees. First thing we need to do is figure out how many degrees we already know of inside of our triangle and figure out how many more we need to equal that 180 degrees. So here we would have 113 degrees plus our 32 degrees. So 113 degrees plus our 32 degrees. That's going to give us 145 degrees so far, right? Let's take that 145 degrees and take it away from our 180. We need to regroup, of course. Let's go ahead, borrow from our tens place. We have a 10 here. So we're going to have our 10 minus 5 is going to give us our 5. 7 minus 4 is going to give us our 3. And we know 1 minus 1 would be 0. So our answer here would be x is equal to 135 degrees. Remembering, all you need to do is you need to add all 3 of these angles together to equal 180 degrees. So if just figuring out how many degrees do we have total in order to figure out what our x is going to be. If you guys have any questions, call or text me. You know how to get a hold of me. Remember, this is a pretty quick lesson just because we did teach most of this earlier on this year. Go ahead, get started with the rest of the work on your independent work, and then finishing up with your exit ticket. Reach out if you guys need anything. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.